This comes from Fox's Dana Perino. As you know, there was a massive ice storm in Virginia and really large parts of the eastern seaboard. The Virginia highway officials say that they didn't have the ability to pre-ice the roads. I guess it was on I-95 because it was going to get washed away in the rain. They got rain, and then it turned to, I guess, to sleet, and to hail, and to snow. I don't know if that's actually the case. Maybe it would have. Maybe it wouldn't have. My guess is that next time they'll put those salts down. But hundreds of people got stranded there for up to 24 hours. One of them was Tim Kaine, senator. There was others. Here's Dana Perino with a very unique theory as to why Virginia officials were unable to get these people out of those cars.
I want to point out one thing that I do not believe has been said yet. I talked to a state legislator there in Virginia, and he pointed out to me that in the last several years, many on the left made a decision that local sheriffs should not be allowed to have military-grade equipment. Right? Because they said that that was a bad symbol and that it was...
Pause it for 1 second. I want you to take it back to the beginning. But I'm very curious about how those on the left were able to influence local sheriffs in Virginia in terms of what equipment they got. And I'd also like evidence that that dynamic even existed, even if it was not a function of many on the left. And I would also suggest there's a reason why no one else has said this yet. And I suspect there's a reason why no one else is going to say it after you. But let's start from the beginning. People really should absorb this.
I want to point out one thing that I do not believe has been said yet. I talked to a state legislator there in Virginia, and he pointed out to me that in the last several years, many on the left made a decision that local sheriffs should not be allowed to have military-grade equipment. Right? Because they said that that was a bad symbol and that it was too militaristic and authoritarian. But imagine if they were still allowed to have the equipment that they had just a few years ago, it probably would have come in very helpful today.
Let's take a moment and imagine. Let's just take it for a moment and imagine that they don't have the equipment that they had a few years ago.
I mean, we got to do a better job appreciating our victories, because I did not know that we demilitarized the police in the past couple of years.
You didn't know that we demilitarized the police, and B, you didn't know what vehicles they had that could actually fly through snow.
Well, in North Dakota, all the cops drive around in those big riot vans all the time in the winter, and it's very good for getting through the snow. So.
Is that right?
Yeah, and tanks. They also have tanks.
The up armored stuff. They drive through the snow, and then how many people can they fit in those up armored tanks?
You can fit about 4 or 5, I think.
Yes, I mean they apparently what they would do is they would take this fleet of up armored tanks that they would have, they would deploy them out to I-95.
Yeah, exactly. 94.
Pick up all these people 4 or 5 at a time. Well, you didn't need the people. So you'd pick up 2 or 3 people at a time in these up armored tanks. They must go pretty fast through the snow, right? I mean, to get back to where they got to get to. You know what else would have worked? Plows. If they had plows. But the left, of course, got the sheriffs to get rid of the plows.
Went really far with the demilitarization. No big farm implements either.
Or maybe she's talking about those things that the things that spit fire, like one of those those gas tanks that you spit fire to eliminate people. A flamethrower, exactly. Yeah, I mean
napalm.
Yeah. If we hadn't taken away the napalm from the sheriffs, then they'd be able to melt all the snow and none of it would have been a problem. And I suspect no one else has mentioned that today. Man. And then, of course, and then what's the next segment Dana Perino does. Talks about how authoritarian it is that you need a double vax to go to a bar. Unbelievable. I really, honestly, like like today, I start to wonder, like, maybe it's time to wrap this whole thing up. I'm talking the country. I'm talking all of it. Just wrap it all up.
Nuclear option?
Forget it. Forget it. That's the problem with demilitarizing the sheriffs. When it's time to call it quits on the country, there's nobody to blow you up.